Hello, Opole. I'm so happy to be here. This is my first time in the country of Poland. I heard so much great things about this country, and I can confirm by looking at all these beautiful people in this room that this is a great day. So thank you for having me in your country. My name is Randy Koussou Alam-Sogan, and I like to say that I am a child of the universe, and I'm not afraid of anything. It's my mantra. And I will tell you a story of how I came up with this mantra. But before that, I want to ask one question. And if you can raise your hand, how many people can tell me in this room that they are living the life of their purpose? How many people in this room are living the life that they want to live, are satisfied with their life? Can you raise your hand? That's only about 1/3 of the room. That's only about 1/3 of the room. I'm going to tell you a story, and I will explain what these images mean. When I was about 22, 23, I started my own business, and shortly after, less than 2 years, 3 years later, I made my first millions. For a very young man, to generate so much money and not having discipline, not having the experience, I was living a crazy life, and I was doing things that I was not supposed to do. I was running a very successful company and getting big contracts with governments. I'm not going to give you details in what country this happened, to protect the names of the people and the companies involved. I was doing work that involved technologies that disrupted the market. And for this, my biggest competitors sabotaged me, sabotaged my business, and within a year, everything that I've worked so hard for, I lost it. I lost the money, I lost the workers, I lost the contracts, I lost everything that I was working for and that I was hoping that I have built my life already. I was hoping that I was on my way to become the Black Bill Gates, but no. I was still far from that. So these were very hard time in my life, very hard years. Because I could not believe that I was on my own continent, in a country that I wanted to work so hard and push forward, that my very brothers favored a company or a person who did not want me to advance in what I was doing. So for me, that was a failure. That was a failure, and it was very, very depressing times because I have lost everything that I've worked for. And I went back to the bench. I had to fire a lot of people from the company. I owed money to suppliers. I lost my contracts. So I was wondering, what did I do wrong? What went wrong in my life? And this pushed me to question my purpose. Because since I was a young child, I always believed in destiny. I always believed that we all have a purpose in life, that we are born with a mission. But what is my mission? Because I thought that was my mission, but now it was on the ground. So I started to ask myself all these questions, and I went back to the roots. I decided to go back to the roots. Because as you all know, I'm from the continent of Africa, the most ancient civilization on the planet. In Africa, we have very ancient beliefs. We have a particular way to look at the universe. We believe in spirits, we believe in the elements, we believe in the forces of nature, and we believe that all those things interact with us and make us who we are. So I decided to go back to the root to find the reason why I failed, and also to find my real path my real direction. So this led me back to my country, Benin, a small country in West Africa next to Nigeria. And in Benin, I was able to go and see the wise men and the wise women who have all the secrets about life and how life should be, to question them, to ask them to help me to find my purpose. And I did not realize at the time that finding your purpose is a very complicated and lengthy exercise. It's not a walk in the park. It's not something you learn in school. It's not something you learn just by reading a book. It's not something you learn just because you go to church or to the mosque. First, you have to dig deep within your own spirit, within yourself. You have to ask yourself, who am I? Why am I here? Why am I facing obstacles so much? Why is it that everything that I start, I fail after a while? Why is it that so many people are against me? Why is it I'm not being promoted at work and others are? Why is it that my business is failing contracts and others are getting it and they're working less than me? Why is it that my relationship doesn't work with this person that I really love? I'm really in love with her, but it doesn't work. Well, that's because in life, we have to dig deep into our origin and find out who we are, what frequency we vibrate on, and what elements are compatible with us. We are not all compatible with one another. The whole universe is ruled by laws of physics. Elements, the air, the fire, the water, the ether, the metals, all these elements combined create different configurations that we are now. Human beings, as we all in this room, we have a different appearance, we have different life, but we are made of the same elements in different configurations. So this journey that I undertook in that time was to find myself again. And I started a very long process where I had to go back to the origin. How was I born into this world? What mission did I come up with? Who was I before? How did my parents live before they conceived me? How did their parents conceive them? It's a very, very long journey. It's a very long process. And at the end of all of this, when after a year, I was able to go through all the different steps that were required to find myself, I knew then that the dream that I had since I was a child, to be of service to the African continent, that dream was my purpose. And I then found out exactly how I should actually manifest this purpose. Because it's one thing to know. It's one thing to have a dream and to have a passion about something. But how do you make it happen? That's the real question. You know the problem, but do you have the solution? The most important thing is to know how to manifest the solution. And I found the solution. After this time, I went back to Europe, and I had to rebuild myself, obviously, because we all have financial obligations. We have to leave. So I went back to the corporate world for 3 years, working for a very, very big company, getting an excellent salary. But I was not satisfied. As my friend Gilles Chamboureur said earlier, he had all those things as a supermodel, but he was still not happy. I was working for a very big corporation, and I was still not happy. I knew I had to manifest my purpose. So I left. And I decided to start my own company again, because as they say, once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. I decided to create my own company, a company that will allow me to be of service to not just my country where I come from, but to a whole continent that's on the rise and that come from a very long place, just like Poland came from a very far place. I know your history. I know how difficult it was to break apart, to rebuild yourself. Well, imagine that for 55 different nations that make up the continent of Africa. We have struggled a lot, and now we are rising again. And I wanted to be part of this rise. I wanted to be part of this story. I found out my real purpose was to contribute to the development of the African continent. And how was I supposed to do that? It's a big question. There's many ways this can be done. But I decided to do it through the world of finance. Because my background is telecoms. I'm an engineer in telecommunication and information systems. For 8-9 years, I worked in that field. But in 2010, I decided to jump off a cliff to get into the complex world of high finance. A very scary world. Big numbers, Wall Street, London Stock Exchange, big investors, all of these things. I didn't know much about it. But I knew this was my way to help my continent go forward. So I learned. I started to learn how this world works and how can I use this knowledge, this experience, this network, these skills, and these enormous amounts of money that exist in the world to help my continent develop. So I created my firm. I started first as a consulting firm, and slowly, after a few years, became a holding company. And now I can proudly say that we are in 30 African countries doing some of the biggest projects, more than 200 projects on the continent, managing billions of dollars in capital. How did I do that? I did that by being audacious, by not being afraid, as Gilles said earlier, by letting go of fear and knowing that anything I want to do, I can achieve it. If I try, if I believe in myself, if I have faith. So my message to you today, my message to you is you have to find out where you come from. What is your origin? How were you born? With what mission? And how to find your path. It's not an easy thing to do. It's very complicated. But you can if you want it. Because once you want it, the universe will put on your way the people that will guide you, the tools that you need, the situations that will help you. They'll start appearing to you because your mind and your heart are aligned and want the same thing. So once your heart and your mind want the same thing, the solutions will start appearing and your guides will start appearing to you as well. I would like to tell you that in Africa, our concept of God is very, very different in ancient Africa than in modern religions. For us, God is the sum total of everything that exists in the cosmos. You are all part of God. You're all in the body of God. Everything, every person, every being, every animal. If you had a chance to be on the moon and you look at the planet Earth now, all you see is a big, blue, round planet. You cannot see people inside. You cannot see what's happening here right now. You see just a big blue planet. Well, that's how you are also. Inside each one of you, there is an entire world working, and you don't know what's going on. In order to find your purpose, you have to find out the mechanics, the dynamics of your life. How is it working inside of you? How is it working inside your spirit? And how you can harness that to build your reality. Because you build your own reality according to the harmony you create with all those elements that work together to make you successful, to make you who you are. Just let me finish with this image. This picture of mine was in a temple in Benin. I was doing a ceremony. I was in my most raw state. The lion is a symbol of strength. It's a symbol of wisdom. It's a symbol of patience. It's a symbol of determination, symbol of power. The beans, Africa, feeds the world. Africa created the world, and Africa feeds the world. The goal is wealth, but not wealth in monetary value. Your spiritual wealth. Whatever your wealth is, it's your own definition. Maybe for some of you, it's having a lot of money. Maybe some of you is having a beautiful relationship, is having children, having a great family, is traveling a lot. We all have our different definitions of what wealth is. But the most important thing is for you to be able to achieve that wealth in your own means. Thank you very much.